What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, programmers of all ages? Welcome back to yet another week's tutorial series on how to develop a game using HaxeFlixel and the Hax programming language. So in last week's tutorial, we created the test state for the range characters to make it easier for us to test out how the range characters work in the future. And now we're going to do the same with the boss character. So head on over to your sources file, open boss teststate.hx, and let's get cracking. So first off, we have a few class variables. So we say private var underscore player of type player, and then private var underscore boss monster of type boss monster, and then finally private var projectiles of type FLX typed group projectile. So let's instantiate the variables. But first, flxg dot, just import it first, I guess. flxg world bounds dot set -5,000 by 10,000, and then 10,000 by 10,000. So first off, projectiles equals new type group projectile, and then add the projectiles to our scene. Next up is the player equals new player at 0.00, and then add the player to our scene. flxg dot camera dot follow underscore player top down and then 1. Next up is the boss monster equals new boss monster of, so this one we can just spawn at 0.50 and 50, and with the target of player. And that should be it. So add boss monster. Awesome. A lot easier than, well, it looks a lot less than the ranged monsters. So next up we want to override the update function. Let me just scroll down a bit. So then we say check to see if the player wants to shoot. Next up, handle boss monster. Now we check for collisions and overlapping. So overlap between player and projectiles. Handle player projectile collisions. And then flxg dot overlap boss monster projectiles handle boss projectile collisions, and then flxg dot collide player boss monster, then handle player boss collisions. So as usual, we have a lot of red on our screen as Visual Studio Code screams at us for not creating the functions first before using them, but it doesn't matter. We will create them now. So private function shoot, and we say if flxg dot mouse dot just pressed var mouse position equals flxg dot mouse dot get position. And we say projectiles dot add new projectile, add player dot get graphics midpoint dot x, and player dot get graphics midpoint dot y. We say the target is the mouse position and the projectile type is of firebolt, and the spawner is player. And we say player dot fire to play the firing animation of the player. We just move that right and then scroll down a bit. Next up we say private function handle boss monster of type boss monster. So you can just go bloop. If monster dot get should fire var projectile. So we can just add this one like we did with the ranged monsters. Rather than creating a variable and then adding it, we can just add it directly, doesn't matter. So we say projectiles dot add new projectile monster dot get graphics midpoint dot x, and then monster dot get graphic midpoint dot y. And we say monster dot get target dot get midpoint. We say monster dot get projectile type, and then finally we say monster. So yet another extremely long function call right there, which the HaxeFlixel just the editor just edited so it moves down the line, so we don't have to scroll as far. And then finally, oh no, we still have 3 more functions, never mind. So next up, let me just scroll down a bit. Private function handle player projectile collisions, player of type player, and projectile of type projectile. If projectile dot get spawner does not equal player, player dot set position at 0, 0, and then projectile dot kill. Next function, private function handle boss projectile collisions type monster, so it's monster of type boss monster, and projectile of type projectile. We say if projectile dot get spawner equals player, then projectile dot kill, and then monster dot stun. Which reminds me, just before we continue, previously if we shot the boss monster and we stunned it, we would just continuously stun it over and over and over again. So I just want to fix that. So quickly open bossmonster.hx, then scroll down to stun, and where it says stun var equals something, we say if stun var is greater than 0.0, then we are allowed to stun it. Otherwise, don't stun it. So that way we can't just continuously stun the monster over and over and over until we defeat it. We have to like stun it once and then have it move on again. In any case, so I just wanted to get that out of the way, since it was something that bugged me a bit before and seems like something players might farm. In any case, so let me just scroll down a bit. So private function handle player boss collisions player and then monster of type boss monster. So we stun the monster and then the player gets teleported back to 0.00 on the screen. And that should be everything. So let's test it out. So we say lime test hl-debug and press enter. I'll be back as soon as this finished compiling. Cool, it finished compiling. Let me just drag that out. So if we click on test, boss map, and now we can see that there is the boss character. And it is shooting the hell out of us, even though it should be stunned. But at least it's not moving. That's one benefit. I guess the stun, I mostly just care if the boss is stunned whilst it is moving. If it's not moving, then I don't really care if it's stunned or not, since it just makes the game a bit more fair. In any case, so that's the end of today's tutorial. But just before you leave, if you like this week's tutorial, feel free to drop a like, subscribe, maybe share the video. And if you want to support the channel beyond that, feel free to head on over to 8bitswag.com. You can search for hacks and then maybe get yourself a hats, hoodie, shirt or sticker to show that you use and like the Hacks programming language, and that you support me by buying something from my store, or maybe just buy it for a friend. In any case, I hope you have an awesome week. See you again next week, and goodbye.